One of my favorite communication tools is the Blackboard discussion board, and it is an asynchronous. That means it's not live. Think of it as an electronic bulletin board where instructors and students post content. This is one of my favorite tools, and if it's done right, can be very good for peer interaction or group interaction. Make sure that when you create discussion boards that they're meaningful. In other words, you will give them criteria. Rubrics are great for discussion boards because it sets the criteria what you are looking for. Make sure that you don't do meaningless things. In other words, if there's 50 students in your class, don't ask them to reply to every student. Give them the criteria for the initial post and then maybe have them reply to one student with 100 words and further the conversation, something like that. So again, think about a meaningful assignment to use the discussion board for. So let me show you how to create a discussion board. You can go right into your contextual menu and create it from there, or you can go down into your course tools and create from there. I am going to use right from up in the menu. Click on discussion board. Notice I already have inside the discussion board I have two forums, and these are chapter forums with questions, but I'm going to create for this example an introduction forum. So I click on the button that says create forum, and forums are basically topics, and give it a name. Then I could put a description in here. On the forum level, my habit is to go in and put the directions within the thread itself inside the forum, but you can do whichever works best for you. Settings, it's turned on. I do change and I don't allow them anonymous because then you can't grade it. I don't allow them to delete. I do go and change and allow them to edit their own posts. Many people have typos, and it's very frustrating when you can't go back and change a typo, so I do allow that. Subscription, I only recommend, I don't use that in my course, but if you wanted to use that where it would send an email each time somebody posted to the thread, make sure that's just for distance ed course. If you use that for a face-to-face enhancement, then when the students are taken out and you reuse that course, then your students can't unsubscribe to that. So not for a face-to-face enhancement, only for distance. You can also allow the members to rate the post. That's up to you. Since you're going to grade it, and it really is meaningless unless you grade a discussion board for an assignment. So I would, at this point, make sure that you put in your grade points possible. You can change the grade amount if you want to, but put that in now. Then it will also allow you to add a rubrics, which is great. And you will learn how to do rubrics in the assignment module. And you can come back and add that later. Alignment, you'll also learn that in the assignment module, how to do outcome alignments to it. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that as it is and submit. And it's put it on the bottom, so I'm going to drag it up to the top because that's going to be the first discussion board. And now I have 3 forums here, or 3 topics. If I click into introductions now, and I create a thread. Inside the forum, the threads or the messages, they're called threads. So click on that, and I'm going to put my name and introduce myself because I'm showing my students an example, and they'll kind of follow that lead. Inside that, I will introduce myself, and if I was just doing directions, then I may put them in there. So I've introduced myself. I'm going to scroll down. I could put an attachment in here if I had something I wanted to attach. I usually ask my students to place their content within the text box rather than attaching so everybody can easily read it. I'm going to go ahead and submit. Now if I save this to a draft, then the students can't see it. And the same way if a student does it, if they put it in a draft, the instructor won't be able to see it. Click submit. And there it is. I go back on the breadcrumb trail, look at my forums, and I click into introductions and then into Debbie. I will be able to see